Today in Alaska, two of the world's most influential and controversial leaders will finally meet face to face. We could be talking about the beginning of the end of the Ukrainian conflict, or about a geostrategic move that will completely redefine the international stage. Tomorrow we will have the first consequences and of course the first comments. I will try to publish them as soon as I can. Please stay tuned, especially to my Telegram channel Liusivaya or at Liusivaya, just like the rest of my social networks, where I am already posting all the information that comes out, and also tomorrow's report. I will also try to publish it earlier. Now we're practically in a countdown. Air Force One has taken off and will land in Alaska at a United States military base. The Russian presidential plane, in turn, is already about to land. To welcome Vladimir Putin, they've prepared not only 4 fighter jets to decorate the scene, but also a full red carpet. A truly historic meeting, considering both the international context and that Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump met in person. The last time was in 2019, but they had a serious, in-depth conversation in Helsinki in 2018. Many years have passed, and now the Ukrainian conflict is at its peak. Since, and this is something Western media will hardly ever tell you, it's not just that Ukraine is having a terribly hard time on the front lines, but Russia has advanced in these last almost less than 24 hours. Another 10 kilometers, and the maps are already being updated, and this is even being reported. The Ukrainian side is about 10 kilometers further from the road that connects Konstantinovka with the Slavyansk and Kramatorsk area, which is the main one. Let me remind you that the Russian Federation still needs to liberate the entire Donetsk front and the Donetsk People's Republic. Today, in fact, out of the 3 towns that remained in its southern part, one has already been liberated, the town of Iskra. Russia has now moved closer to the Dnipropetrovsk border, a region not originally targeted, but where it is already making steady advances. However, if the road in question is cut off, which could happen in a few days, in about 2 days, according to the military here. If the conditions are favorable, Russian soldiers could reach the road itself, and then that's it. Ukraine will do everything possible to defend it, as it's the only route. The artery that connects, which is in Chinavka, is already practically surrounded from 3 directions, at least. But if we cut off the supply, then we can already talk about an absolutely fatal situation. However, from what I'm told here, it's only a matter of time. They know this in both Russia and the United States. And with these, Vladimir Putin flies to Alaska. They're about to meet, and for Vladimir Putin, they've prepared what seems to be an absolutely triumphant entrance. Not so for the Russian journalists who have been complaining, including, for example, the Russia Today delegation, about the conditions they'll have to live in.
I'm showing you. This is how the press is supposed to, of the Russian presidential press is going to live, since they don't even close these parts. Well, apparently someone already spent the night here. And we have more beds over there. I don't know how I feel right now.
You tell me if this is normal, considering, let me remind you, this is a military base, or if it's done like this on purpose. Whatever the case, right now we're in a pretty uncertain situation. And here there are really, to sum up in short, 3 main possibilities. Tomorrow we'll see exactly which ones will end up taking center stage. Meanwhile, the first is that there will be an immediate ceasefire, and the second is that this doesn't happen. And also the negotiations go from bad to worse and bring a negative outcome. Therefore, most likely, we will see a strengthening and an escalation of hostilities. And the third one, which seems most likely to me, Let's see, what do you all think? Is there really going to be a negotiation? And that's where that give and take tone comes into play. Territories here in exchange for a ceasefire there, and we end up with some kind of tailor-made agreement. That's right, Donald Trump, before leaving for Alaska, already said that there was no way Ukraine would join NATO, nor any kind of security guarantee for Ukraine in that context, which for the Russian side is already a huge concession. In Ukraine, of course, as well as in the European Union, they are extremely worried because their future could be decided without them even being present at the negotiating table. Memes exist showing an old lady with Vladimir Zelensky's face. That's it. The image has been seen waiting at the Alaska airport, hoping that maybe she could at least catch a whiff of information from that meeting. That shows us once again what we've repeated so many times from here. Ukraine doesn't have any kind of sovereignty because its future is being negotiated between two powers that in principle shouldn't have anything to do with Ukraine. Again, if it were a true sovereign state. As the main roadmap, among the delegations, of course, the issue of the Ukrainian conflict and achieving peace is highlighted. However, there are several factors that we should take into account and that are very likely on the negotiating table, even if they are not announced directly. And they have to do with territories. Territories concessions on one side, and of course the reception. Let's put it this way, because, well, once it's included in the Constitution, it definitely gives it much more value. On the part, I imagine, in this case, especially of the Russian Federation. Secondly, commercial issues, most likely the lifting of sanctions or even the tightening of them. And also a third issue, and this will probably have to do with the energy topic. And, well, some agreements that could be made directly between Russia and the United States. Because I highly doubt that Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump would announce a press conference after the meeting they're going to have. And it's already been announced that it's going to last at least 6 or 7 hours. It's going to be a 5-on-5 meeting, meaning 5 people from the United States delegation and 5 people from the Russian delegation. Of course, to announce a press conference afterward, I repeat, without attending, even if they are minimally sure of a result, even if it was something minimally, excuse the redundancy, positive, well, I don't think it would be sensible for either side. And besides, we're not talking about just any kind of leaders here. I mean, it's unlikely we'll experience a scene like the one that happened at the White House, an absolutely shameful scene. Vladimir Zelensky, who didn't know how to behave in front of Donald Trump or his vice president, and there he received everything but praise from the United States. This, of course, will not happen with Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. That's all we know so far about the meeting, and as soon as the first results appear, of course, we'll be here to discuss them. If you want my personal opinion, I think this is going to be, yes, very pompous, very important, very historic, and everything we want it to be. But a media pill, after all, it's important for Russia, it's important for the United States as well. Especially considering that the American side has already nominated Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. Like his friend Obama, as they say, although he doesn't think much of Barack Donald, it seems he wants to get exactly the same title. And I would say to you that more or less with the same background. That is to say, real peace is out of the question and there's no talk of any kind of dialogue either. It's a country that recently bombed Iran, which is after all a sovereign country, whether we like it or not. Of course, reaching an agreement regarding the Ukrainian conflict is going to take a very long time, and it will also take not just time, but a lot of willingness from both sides. Here, I mean the Russian and American sides, which are the only ones that truly matter. So I think this is being done so that Donald Trump can give them something, especially Donald Trump, because Vladimir Putin has it easier and his country supports him more. Let's see where this is going so that Trump can throw something to the media. That is, we are indeed negotiating what has been achieved. It's a historic agreement. Russia is willing to do this, that, and the other. However, it will take us time to define the terms of this agreement. And well, it's going to take a while. And most likely we will go exactly until the moment when the Russian Federation has been liberated, which doesn't seem to be that far off anymore. The Donetsk People's Republic, since Lugansk is already liberated. We'll see what happens with Kherson and Zaporizhia. From here on, you can tell me if this meeting is going to be some kind of game changer, geopolitical game changer, or if it's simply wrapped up in very nice packaging, but a pill that's rather empty of content.